from the Newswires, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab.
Hello everyone, this is Miko Santos from redwires.au and welcome from the Newswires. And on today's episode,
video assistant alerted the referee to a potential error. That's a lovely touch by Lecky. Oh, chance and a goal! Craig Goodwin has scored! Wonderful moment for
because this is the first time that our Australian soccer football club or team went to the finals on World Cup. For today, we're talking to Dr. Tom Heenan. He's the lecturer of sports and Australian studies on Monash Intercultural Lab, Faculty of Arts, and we will discuss about what's happening last night or this early morning, that 1-0 on the between the Denmark and Australia. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Tom Heenan.
Oh, good to be with you, Miko.
So this is a historic event happened yesterday, this morning, about this game between Denmark and Australia. Can you tell me about it?
Well, Miko, I wish I could tell you more, but I didn't think they would win, so I stayed in bed. But they have been there before. 2006, when that so-called golden generation of Australian players, the Kewells, the Vidukas, the Kales, they got fairly deep in the tournament before being knocked out by the Italians. But you'd have to say that this probably is a more significant moment given the way in which this team qualified. They had to travel long distances. They did it during a pandemic. They also weren't expected to win against Peru and faced a penalty shootout in which Redmayne distinguished himself internationally with an imitation of the Wiggles. And you begin to think that this is probably a more significant moment because it's so totally unexpected.
Yeah, so everyone is. Have you seen the place in Federation Square? They are totally. They're chaos on because of the winning of Socceroos with the kick with Matthew Lucky for that.
But I think that this is an important point because the Federation Square gathering is becoming something of this talismanic event that accompanies every game, and it seems to travel the world. That Australia have got up and they're congregated at 3 a.m. in the morning in a square watching this game, and what you're actually seeing is a game that unites the country, and it's a sport, a football code that unites the country in a way that other sports can't do. Australia rules football, southern states, rugby, northern states, cricket. It seems to be losing its luster, and all of a sudden you've got a football code that brings all Australia together, and that is the unique part of this game from an Australian perspective.
Well, Dr. Tom, the coach Graham Arnold said earlier that this is not yet celebration. Why so?
Well, I think Arnold is saying we can probably take on the Argentinians and beat them. And remember, in the 1980s, Australia, I think, did beat Argentina. They certainly had a game around about this period where they drew with Brazil. It's not unknown territory, but it's pretty remote territory. But those sides didn't have a Messi, they didn't have a Di Maria, and stacks of talent. But the thing on the Australian side is those players are aging, and Australia. Australians go on about, we're the underdogs and we're playing above, punching above our weight. In actual fact, Australians love to talk like that, and they'll talk about the Australian spirit. This is backed by some pretty big sports science, and we shouldn't downplay that. This is a side that is very well prepared, and a side that's pretty resilient coming back from that 4-1 drubbing to France.
So the other question I have is that the the game between Argentina and our team, it's closer. So they don't have enough time to train. So what do you think we're gonna happen about that?
Well, these players are professional athletes, and that's part of being a professional athlete. Um, it's what happens in line with the climate in which they play in. You have noticed in a number of games, teams when they hit that 60, 65-minute mark, they lose structure. They lose. They just grow tireder. And it's obviously that there must be some pretty energy-sapping heat going on. So that's going to be the problem. But remember, Argentina have, though Messi loves to walk around a bit, Argentina have some ageing players, and I've never thought that that the Australian team was one for this tournament. I always thought that this is a chance to really get players ready for the next World Cup and introduce them to World Cup football. So they've obviously done very well, but that also points that there's some very young legs there, and some young legs that we may not win, but they will get experience in a very big game and at the pointy end of the tournament.
Thank you for that. So what you gonna expect now? So in now Argentina versus Australia. So are we gonna win? What's happened next after the World Cup?
Well, I have a hunch that Australia will just play its normal game, but if it gets to the 60th minute mark, I expect to see the back four piled up a bit, and thoughts going through the coaching staff that it's a 50-50 chance in a penalty shootout. My memory of this morning that Messi missed too, so he might be on a bit of a slide. But it'll be interesting. I'd imagine Australia will come out attacking, but as it gets closer, and if scores are still level, I think they might take their chance on a penalty shootout.
Well, that's a good insight, Dr. Tom. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, the game will be more active, energetic, and a good thing to watch on the next game with Socceroos. So, any parting words for our football fans about this upcoming game between Argentina and our team?
Well, I think this is a moment in history where you're playing a team that was one of about 3 or 4 that you would imagine that was going to be there in the final. And you're playing against a player who was arguably one of the best of all time, if not the best. And whatever, it's a privilege actually to be on the ground when you have that opposition, but it's also better to beat them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tom Heenan, lecturer of Sports and Australia Studies in Monash University. That's another episode from the Newswire, and this is Miko Santos.